Left, yes, my left, yes.
Diane Stefani.
Scott Nelson,
Jim Baumstark.
James Dolan.
Alex Kimelevich.
and that's everybody. Julie's not here tonight, but she'll be watching on TV. Next, we will move to our approvals. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, I'd like a motion and a second to approve the regular and executive session minutes.
Second, Supos.
Katie, you may have a roll call.
Kimelevich. Dolan.
Aye.
Baumstark. Stefani.
Aye.
Supos.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye. Wow, that was loud. Motion carries. Next, we will go to superintendent comments. Dr. Deli?
Thank you. May I borrow your
Yes, please do.
microphone? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to call out some special people this evening. This year, as you probably know, our district-wide theme is We Celebrate in District 34. We've had a lot of fun with that so far this year, and we'll continue to celebrate because we believe we have a lot to celebrate in our school district. This week has been designated as Principal Appreciation Week. The actual day of the recognition, I believe, is Friday, so I do have to take this opportunity to celebrate the exceptional work of our District 34 building-level leadership teams. I want to recognize their commitment to student success, their compassion in nurturing an inclusive school environment that fosters a sense of belonging to our students, to our staff, and to our families. Thank you very much for your hard work. I also believe we have some treats heading their way over the course of the week as a small token of our appreciation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Deli. Now we come to audience comments. Anyone wishing to address the board can submit a comment card available at the check-in table and give it to the Executive Director of Communications and Strategic Planning. The Executive Director will call community members who submit cards forward. They will be asked to introduce themselves and describe their relationship with the district. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and know that the board will be taking notes, but we will be in listening mode only, and an appropriate response will be given in a timely manner. We also ask that you submit one comment per opportunity. Kathy, do we have any comments? No comments. Next, we'll move to consideration of resolutions, our consent agenda. We have the 23072 personnel report, the 23073 payroll warrants, and the 23074 vendor warrants. Can I have a motion and a second for approval?
Second, Dolan.
Katie, can I have a roll call?
Nelson.
Aye.
Dolan.
Aye.
Baumstark. Stefani.
Aye.
Supos.
Aye.
Kimelevich.
Motion carries. We are now moving to the consideration of other resolutions. We have the 23076 GPL IGA. Brian, do you want to talk about it a little?
What is the GPL IGA? LMNOP.
So we have a,
Of all people.
On second thought, don't tell us.
little too close, thank you. So we have an opportunity to partner with the Glenview Public Library. With the new leadership at the Glenview Public Library, there's been a huge shift in opportunities for us as a school district and the library to work together on different projects. The actual agreement that you have looked at is an agreement between the library and the school district to provide library cards for all of our teachers so that they have access to the materials that are in the library and don't necessarily have to go through our LRC director, this person, that person. They can go straight to the library, get the resource to help with the kids, and get it back. It's a huge opportunity. It goes along with the fact that the Glenview Public Library also, as part of our registration process, jumped forward and gave all of our kids the opportunity to have library cards as part of that. And so I think this is just another step as it relates to working together to get more and more connections between the school district and the library.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from board members?
Just to make a comment, the fact that this is an opportunity just further reinforces both the excellence in our school district and excellence in the public library that we have at Glenview. And really kudos to you, Brian, and thank you to the library board for making this possible.
Yes, thank you to the library board especially, yeah. If there are any more questions, can I have a motion and a second to accept the recommendation to approve?
Second. Stefani.
Katie, can I have a roll call?
Supos,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Dolan,
Aye.
Baumstark,
Aye.
Stefani,
Aye.
Kavalevich.
Motion passes. Next, we come to our discussion. Our first item is the construction update.
I'd like to welcome Dave Torres, Troy Kerr to the board table to give us a quick update on how things went this past summer and a little look forward as we contemplate our bids coming back in and what that means for the future.
Here, use this one.
All right, well, good evening. Thanks for having us. Really, the goal, like Eric said tonight, is just to kind of provide a high-level update and take a look at where we've been with construction as well as, currently where we are, and then get a little glimpse of at least what's on the horizon with projects that have not yet quite come to pass. So we've got a little presentation that we're working on in the moment. So, anybody know any jokes? Interpretive dance. Oh dear.
Well, you don't need the slides to.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it memorized, so not really, but kind of. Well, basically, we can start with 2021. We completed the additions at the primaries as well as at Springman. So in the presentation, you'll see we took some photos of the additions that took place throughout the year 2021 into the summer of 2022 when we commenced with our first sequence of major renovation projects. We had 2 phases set aside for the primaries, and we got that first phase done, and then this past summer we wrapped up the second phase at the primaries. This past summer, we also completed the intermediate renovations. Initially, as part of our original schedule, we had planned to separate those 2 phases, or to separate that into 2 phases, and then we decided to consolidate it into one. So we completed all renovation work at the intermediates this summer, which was a huge accomplishment. Definitely one of the biggest our organizations has ever seen and accomplished, which was really awesome to be a part of that. So we appreciate, all the help and patience from the district and staff as we scrambled at the end to get everything wrapped up. It's been quite an adventure thus far, but it's been really a positive experience. And then as it relates to currently where we're at is we're in the process of bidding out Springman's Phase 3. So we completed the additions for the gym and the science wing in 2021, and then we completed the first round of interior renovation work for the main office area. So now we're going to be focused more on the north side of the building, first and second floors, and if the presentation does work, we can kind of provide you with an update and show some diagrams in terms of the work that's going to be taking place. But actually, I'm confident that Troy can actually run through that. So we've got a little, here we go.
So it's in the board packet, if everybody can pull it up.
All right, so as mentioned, we are currently out to bid for Springman's Phase 3, as well as work that we're going to be completing at ATIA. renovation-wise. So this past summer, we did kind of get a head start on some of the ATIA work. We successfully set 2 of the large rooftop units. At ATIA, we completed some plumbing work with the hot water replacements, fire alarm and intercom system replacements, and because of Mother Nature, we had to accelerate the timeline for the roofing replacement work that was scheduled to take place in a couple more years, but that was done this past summer as well, as I'm sure you're aware. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Troy here to kind of give you a high-level update of what's going to be, it's in the board packet. Oh, we're working. Great. Super. Keep going.
Keep going.
I'm just letting folks have
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Soak it in.
This was the
Soak
whole
it in.
point. Part of the point.
So what you're seeing are some of the professional photography images that we had completed of the Phase 1 work. So Phases 2 and 3, the interior renovation work has not been professionally photographed yet, so unfortunately it wasn't available to be included.
covered this already.
For the most part. All right, so what's on the horizon then? So the work at the middle schools is currently out for bid. So if last summer was the summer of elementary schools, next summer will be the summer of the middle schools. So it includes projects at both Springman and ATIA. As Dave mentioned, it is about the north half of Springman, maybe a little bit more considering the size of the first floor of the north side of Springman, but it is both floors, first and second, north side of the building at Springman. It includes the typical things that you have all come to know that we're doing at these renovation projects. It includes renovations to all of the core classroom areas, including making their entry alcoves ADA accessible. It includes new flooring, paint, ceilings, and lighting in all of those classrooms, the installation of sprinklers throughout the building, so that will complete the sprinkler installation at Springman. Replacement of galvanized piping throughout the building, including remodeling of any toilet rooms and other plumbing fixtures that are impacted by that, as well as mechanical equipment replacement, which will round out the mechanical scope at Springman, and then also remodeling to the cafeteria at Springman, which has been one of the central tenets of the referendum from the very beginning. So here's the second floor footprint, obviously much smaller in the scope than the first floor. And then as mentioned, ATIA will also be included next summer. So at ATIA, the intervention is much less because the age of the building dictates that much of that work doesn't need to be done the same way that it does at the 50s and 60s buildings. So because of that, ATIA is already sprinklered. We don't have to add anything to that, so that will stay as is. And also does not include any galvanized piping, so we don't need to do anything to replace that throughout the building. But we are going to give some of the classrooms a similar treatment. So we'll be doing flooring, paint, ceilings, and lighting at the classroom so that they feel similar to classrooms throughout the rest of the district. And then we'll also be doing new finishes at the science labs. And then as Dave alluded to, we did the major portion of the mechanical equipment at ATIA this past summer with the installation of the two enormous rooftop units that are at this building. But there is still some mechanical equipment replacement throughout the rest of the building that will be happening, but at a much smaller scale.
And the building's already furnished with new classroom furniture, right?
Exactly.
That was this year. So, but that was by design, because we didn't want to pay to have it in storage for another year. We utilized it, but we'll move it out, do this renovation work, and have it all there.
That's correct. So the second floor at ATIA and the third floor.
So as I mentioned, we currently are out to bid for those projects, so we're expecting to open bids on November 7th. We'll have some time to review. We have separated the base bids between Springman and Atia, so we'll be able to take a close look at the contractors as well as the numbers, and then our intent is to take the information once we've processed it with the administration and review it with the subcommittee meeting on November the 14th, ultimately for board approval then in November. Construction will commence in the summer of 2024 for work to be completed in August. This slide that's up here is, as I mentioned at the beginning, kind of a snapshot of the projects that we have left. This next summer is really the last summer of big projects. So as it relates to the initial timeline and schedule that we laid out, we have partial roofing replacements, so it's not the whole roof at all these locations, but just partial replacements. And that's based on age of the roof and just needs that were identified during the facilities assessment exercise. So these are not set in stone. I think as part of our process of just finding ways to save money, we may be looking at consolidating some of these projects and maybe accelerating the timeline in a similar fashion to what was done with ATIA, which would provide some benefit, just saving on some escalation costs, but we're just trying to work collectively with the district to be as creative as possible, just to find ways to continue to save money. So that's what a tentative outlook looks like, but I'm sure as we get past this next bid with Springman and ATIA, we'll take a much closer look at what these next few rounds of projects are going to look like.
Are there any questions? I didn't know you guys were going to be here through 2027.
Well, at this rate, we might not be.
That's right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. All right.
All right.
Should we move on?
Yes, thank you, gentlemen.
The next thing we have for discussion is the IASB Delegate Assembly. So we actually need a board representative to actually be the voting member at the IASB convention in November. Does anybody want to do it? It's one meeting. Vasilios?
I'll do it.
All right. This is the resolution committee. There were 5 resolutions that were considered by the resolution committee. They recommend adopting 2 of the recommendations, which is the school resource officer funding and the bus driver regulations. The other 3, they don't recommend adopting. I sent the link for everyone to read. I think this is, in the past, there used to be like 30 or 40 resolutions. They've really trimmed it down pretty well. These are right-up things we would like. We would love school resource officer funding, and bus driver regulations seem fine. So I think as a board, we would recommend with the committees. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? And I'll make sure you know where you're supposed to be. And
That's fine. But it
Everything.
seems reasonable, though. from
yeah,
what I read.
Katie will register you as our delegate. All right, good. Next, we have the Lion easement agreement.
So the village brought this forward to us to present to the board tonight. And so at the corner of Waukegan and Lake, they've basically secured some funding to create modifications to the sidewalk and a gateway feature, which is essentially, looks like a sign with plants and sort of make a presence at that corner. And this gateway has 3 separate poster features, and it was described to me. We could have one Park District in the village. And I think there's an image included in your packet to take a look if you want to see what that looks like. But essentially, they're asking for an easement agreement just so they can install this as a part of their improvement with their grant.
And they'll pay for everything, right?
They will.
It'll make that corner look a lot nicer also.
I think so.
So they're just using a slight bit more of land or something? That's what they're asking for? is like
Basically,
A
yeah.
larger easement?
Yep.
So- And then we've evaluated it, and we don't care, like, that's part of the property, that's fine. We prefer the better, the aesthetics of this new feature, I would
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a lot off our back, and if it helps them and it creates a presence, I think it's, yeah.
Right now, I think it's two metal
posts.
fence posts and, I
Yeah,
don't know
no, I
what.
just wanted to make sure we
Oh.
thought about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we have, I think, obviously, it's attractive because it's right on a very prominent corner, and I think the plan is to have space on this marquee for us, for the Park District, and Village, yeah.
And we're good partners with the Park District and the Village, so I think this is a good thing for us. Any other questions? All right. Next, we have the resolution to approve the 2023 tentative tax levy and schedule a public hearing for the 2024 tax levy.
Thank you. And so I'm having a problem connecting with the screen again now. So if I can ask you to follow along in the board packet with me, that would be great. So tonight is the first discussion of the 23 tentative tax levy. A tax levy by certification is a certification by resolution of the local tax revenue requested. So all this is a request of this board to the county for a set amount of property tax dollars to fund the district by. And it's so important to us because over 80% of our revenue comes from property taxes. So this is obviously the main way we fund the district and its ongoing operations. In the mid-90s, PTEL, or the Property Tax Extension Limiting Law, also referred to as a tax cap, came into play, and that limits the annual tax extension, the dollars that the county extends to the district, to an increase of 5% or CPI, whichever is less, as well as new construction. So those are the two ways to increase your property tax levy, mainly CPI and the addition of new construction, or sometimes they call it new property. And when we look back at this important indicator, CPIU, all urban, the 3-year, the CPI that we're dealing with for the 23 tax year is the 22 calendar year. Even though it exceeded 5, we're limited to 5, so that's what our increase will be over the prior year's extension. The 3-year average is 3.8, the 5-year CPI average is 3.1, and the 10-year average is 2.3. So we're definitely in an area that we have not been in many years, and hope to not stay in for too long here. When we look at new property, for the most part, we stay relatively balanced under about $30 million, except for the expiration of the Glen TIF. However, in this year, what I should say is, what we just found out is in the 22 tax year, we got $29.4 million in new construction, and we have currently estimated the new property at $17 million for 2023. What I can tell you just briefly is that we were contacted by the village just the other day, and they have let us know that they are closing the Waukegan Golf TIF, and that we will be able to pick up that incremental new property or new construction with the 23 tax year. I don't have all the details yet. I hope to bring them forward as we flesh them out toward next month, but this $17 million in new construction we know is going to go up. Actually, the information we're presenting tonight may have to slightly be adjusted based on this new information, which is great. It's good news for District 34, but we haven't had enough time yet to flesh that out. The TIF reports aren't yet out for the 22 tax year. They just came out for the main municipalities and taxing bodies, so there's a little bit more time and information that we need to flesh that out. Whenever it comes to the tax levy, there's things we know and there's things we don't know. And that's what makes it hard, especially in Cook County. We do know with the 22 calendar year that CPI that we're using is 5%. We do know what the new property is. We do know that existing EAV increased by over 20%. So we went from approximately $2.5 billion to just under $3 billion in EAV for our tax base. Now, existing EAV increasing doesn't do anything for our revenues. It just offsets the rate. So rates and EAV work inversely, just to keep the PTEL formula the same and make sure that our increase is off CPI and new property. But again, some of the things we don't yet know, we just found out some of this information from '22. We don't yet know for '23 what the existing EAV will be, what the county multipliers are, new property values, or final tax rates. Some of the general assumptions are, again, this was a little bit outdated now, but the new property assumption was 17 million. This levy accommodates up to 50 million in new construction. So it allows for us to not know exactly what these new property values are going to be, but we levy so that we don't miss that revenue opportunity. Existing EAV, now that the triennial reassessment will pass with the 22 year, we only think EAV will increase 2%. We're hoping for a tax collection rate of 100%. Cook County Clerk will be directed, as this board has done in the past, to reduce the levy in only particular funds. And then many years ago, this board passed a resolution they sent it to the county clerk that said, do not add this additional 3%, they call it a loss and cost factor, to the cap funds. It basically ensures that there's no opportunity for any miscollections, and essentially many of the districts do it. We've decided not to, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to skip over the next slide and move to our historical levy versus the extension. This is a good chart to look at, but I'll basically boil it down to say, historically, we levy more than we know we're going to get for these reasons I just went over. In the 21 levy year, we levied 30%, but we only got 22%. That was when the
TIF expired.
TIF expired. Last year, we levied for 7.7, and we got 6.1. So there's always a little bit of an ask that's higher than what we think we're going to get. For this 23 year, the request is 7.17%. That's the recommendation tonight. What we actually think the increase is going to be is 5.16. Again, this does not include the Waukegan Golf TIF expiration. When we look at the overall estimate of what we actually think we're going to capture, in the cap funds, it's 5.7%. In the bond and interest fund, the non-cap funds, it's 1.27, for a total increase that we think it's going to end up being of 5.16%. For a home with an estimated value of $500,000, this increase would equate to $135 annually. Remember that a tax levy is just a request, and it's above the estimated extension based on unknowns. Extensions are based on the PTEL formula. The extension will be increased across the entire boundary, meaning individual tax bills may go up or down depending on their neighbors, and that the bond and interest levy is outside or above the cap funds. The bond and interest levy is done behind the scenes between the county clerk and the folks who, final the bond counsel. So that isn't a function that this board has to contemplate. Future planning, only thing that we hope to come back with is more information about the Waukegan Golf TIF, and the next steps would be to review the tentative levy again in November, and then have a hearing and vote on the final request at the December meeting.
So based on what you said, I do want to make sure that we don't miss capturing everything. As you said, it doesn't matter what we ask for, they'll only give us a certain amount. So let's make sure it felt like we were pretty close last year.
Yeah, and we can absolutely take any feedback that you have and incorporate that into the revision for next year.
I'd rather ask so that we don't lose any new property, because you can never recapture it.
That's right.
Does anyone else have any thoughts or questions? So we'll be talking about this for the next 2 meetings also.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, good. Now we have the 2023-2024 CFAC charge, Citizens Finance Advisory Committee.
Yeah, and quite simply, it's the same charge that CFAC is primarily charged with each year, and that's to do an update to their 5-year financial forecast and bring some color and context of what that data means to the board. It's essentially, CFAC is coming to the board to do a presentation and help you understand from their perspective what the updated projection means, and our intent is to bring that to the board at the February regular meeting.
Everybody saw the charge? Everybody good? Alex, you're on the committee, so
Yes, I'm good.
thank you. All right. Next, we have the resolution abating working cash fund to debt service fund of $5 million.
Okay, and we've contemplated this transfer before. Cook County, yet again, is charging us with sorting out how we're going to cover about 4 months' worth of payments without any property tax collections. And so after an analysis of our cash flow, we're fine in every fund except for bonded interest, yet again. So we'd like to take this $5 million that's currently sitting in working cash, lend it to debt service to make the December 1 bond payment, and then when those property taxes come in, we'll repay the fund.
And that's an automatic process, right?
It is.
Do we have any update from the county? I ask knowing full well that I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, there's no update. So we're still planning on making the stretch for those number of months before taxes come in.
I mean, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, this is the first time it's been this delayed, right? In
So
recent memory?
I've been working in
There was 1 year when it was similar.
There were many years. There were decade stretches where they went against their statutory deadlines, and they got back on track for a period of time. Seems like now we're back off track.
And this
So-
is really a fight between the Board of Review and the Cook County Assessor, correct? A lot of this?
I think initially it
Yeah.
started from the rumor was that it was a software implementation delay.
Correct.
We haven't heard any new information yet, to the contrary. So I would actually expect this to continue, just to put a cap on this. I don't think this is going away. I think we should begin to plan for this type of cycle unless they get back on track. Prove us wrong.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have audience comments. Kathy, do we have any audience comments? We don't have any audience comments. Now we have the reports section. We have the number 1 FOIA report, the number 2 True North Board report, the number 3 Summer School report, the number 4 Construction Change Order report, the number 5 Referendum Expense report, the number 6 Monthly Budget report, and the number 7 Current Year Financial Projections. Does anyone have any questions? Dane, is it all right if Julie had some questions about the summer school report. Is there any way we can just enumerate a little what's in that report so people can hear?
Sure, well, I mean, we can highlight what's in there. The
Yeah.
team can highlight what's in there.
Kind of what our
We are
plans are.
I mean, one point of interest I think that Julie brought up is we are discontinuing the GRASP program in the summer. We were using ESSER dollars to support that effort. We thought it was the right thing to do at the time to help, really in response to students being out of their typical education cycle for as long as they were. And we ran it with ESSER dollars and then for a little while with local dollars. But, you know, the funding ended for that. We got some feedback that was mixed about the program. Part of I think people appreciated the efforts and we were trying to do something. It is a pencil and paper, sort of old school workbook style program, which is, you know, has its own set of problems outside of probably not being very engaging. And so that was one element I think that
Yeah, I think
Julie
that
had asked
sums up
about.
what
Does that
she
help?
really
Yeah.
wanted to hear about. Yeah. Thanks. Any other questions on reports?
My only comment was I think our performance and participation on the GRASP program was, if I remember, anecdotally superior to last year in terms of completion, in terms of participation, even though it was well within kind of the range that we anticipated. So while, you know, Scantrons and old school might not have been ideal, and certainly the survey feedback is 15% isn't surprising. It was good to see that wasn't just like a one-year thing, but as it suggests that there might be an appetite for some level of kind of summer activity that hits some of these other needs and feedback. If we can explore that, and it's not a massive, cost. It could be something worth consideration.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Yep, makes sense. Sounds good. Any other comments on the reports? All right, next I have other business.
Yeah, no, thank you, Scott. I just wanted to expand a little bit on what Dr. Deli said about Principal Week this week. I had a chance to spend some time with 3 of our principals, whether it's committee work or movie night or what have you. And being that it's the week to appreciate our principals, I wanted to say that our principals are the cornerstone of our district schools, leading with dedication and perseverance through changing times. Your leadership is not just about managing schools, it's about inspiring an environment of growth, inclusion, and achievement. You've nurtured a space where students thrive, teachers excel, and parents trust. As members of the Board of Education, we pledge our continued support to your noble mission. Today, I wanted to pause to say thank you for your dedication, your passion, and the profound impact you have on our children. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vasilios. And if nothing else, I'd like to call up for adjournment. We are now adjourned. Thank you.